Surprise! I decided to upload a tutorial today instead of canceling Fab Fit Friday. If you're watching me on May 3rd, 2024, I normally am live at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I had the opportunity to go help my daughter Abby in her 3rd grade class to do tie-dye T-shirts. So I couldn't pass that up, and I couldn't be in 2 places at once. So instead of canceling Fab Fit Friday, here's a special edition. Now this tutorial is actually going to hit a bunch of birds with one stone. I've gotten requests from subscribers to show how to take off a jeans waistband and make it into a pull-on jean using a Yoga Pants Style Waistband. And I have to fix a pair of my mom's pants because now they're too big for her around the waist. So I'm going to take the waistband off her jeans and I'm going to replace it with a Yoga Pants waistband. So before we get to my mom's jeans, they're very, very simple. All I'm going to do is cut off the waistband and add the Yoga Pants band. But this is already a pull-on pair. I want to show you how to transform a pair that is, you know, got a whole front fly going on. So this particular pair that I have in front of me is one of my daughter's pairs of jeans. And one thing I thought was kind of cool that I want to show you before I take them apart is, notice this has a no yoke in the back. So there's the back. See, there's no yoke. But there is a wider yoke or waistband instead. And notice it's wider at center front and narrower at center back. So that's something that you can consider when you're making your waistbands for pants or jeans. They don't have to be a consistent width all the way around, provided you do a waistband and a waistband facing. Why am I mentioning that? You can't fold over one piece of fabric and have it be different widths and have it lay nicely. So if you want to do a shaped waistband like this, you need a waistband and then a waistband facing, 2 separate pieces. So I thought that was a cool feature of these jeans. These are actually jeans that don't fit her anymore. So I'm just going to show you how to disassemble and then also get rid of the zipper and then create a front that has a faux front fly from a full zippered fly here. So you may, if you follow along with me, you might have seen this cool tool where I showed how to use these Kai seam removers to take things apart. And if you're working on a upcycle project with jeans and you're taking apart the seams that are just double top stitched down, this will make super quick work of it. You can see right here, I've already used my traditional seam ripper to just pick through the stitching to create a hole here. Okay, so see there's a hole, and I can show you that it goes straight through because there's the other side, right? So watch how easy this is now. I can remember, you know, before finding this thing, it would take me hours to deconstruct jeans. Now I can just run it right along the stitching. And essentially, I'm just cutting through the layers of stitching through the middle here. And I'm just going to continue around. This is going to be much quicker than if I was trying to pick it apart with a seam ripper here. Why am I taking this waistband off versus cutting it? You can see here, I want to have a seam allowance above this rivet so I don't have to take the rivets out. So you want to pay attention to where your rivets are, where are the things that are going to cause you issue. Plus, if I pick this apart, I may be able to upcycle it or use it on a new pair of jeans or shorts. So I'm going to actually save this. So I'm taking it apart, and you can see I'm making pretty good progress here. I'm just going to continue to saw away essentially. And you can see I'm not even really being careful here. I'm literally just picking at the stitches within or between the layers here, and it's coming out really nice and quickly. I love this seam remover. So if you want to get one of these for yourself, I'm going to put the Amazon affiliate link in the description of this video so you don't have to go looking for it if you'd like to get yourself these. I discovered that the Tye Sewing, or the Tye Scissor Company, markets these also as facial razors. And if you buy the facial razor version, they're exactly the same as the sewing version. You can get 3 for the price of 1 practically. Definitely check my Amazon affiliate link for that because you'll save money. But you can see I've already taken out the whole front. Let me unbutton this and see if I can work back this way for a second over the fly. So I'm literally just using this facial razor or Tye seam remover. You know what else this is really easy to do? Taking off back patch pockets. It makes such quick work of that as well. All right, you can see I've almost got the center front taken off. I'm just going to be a little bit careful here. Get this completely taken apart underneath the front buttons here. It's a little bit tight, but I'll be able to get it. And the other thing is, up here on this center front, they like bar tacked it down, so it's really, really sewn on well here. But you can see I'm still making quick work of removing it with this Tye seam remover. All right, I've almost got this off. When I get this center front piece off, I'm gonna finish off camera so you're not watching me do the same thing for an extended period of time. I just wanted to show you it's really nice and easy to work with this, even in a situation where it's really sewn in. All right, so look at, I just wanted to show you here. Look how there's no damage to the top of my waistline. Okay, so I'm going to continue taking this off. All right, I've made it almost all the way to the center back already. And then let's look at this for a second. I just want to show you, I'm not damaging the actual waistband either. Nothing is getting cut. And you can see I'm being pretty, I don't know, reckless with this seam ripper. I would never poke and stab my garment or my fabric with a regular seam ripper. I would definitely cut a hole. So this is really an amazing tool to have. One of the reasons why this isn't coming off as fast as I thought it would is because these jeans are relatively new. She didn't wear them very often. If you have a pair of jeans in your closet that you've worn many times, the stitching actually comes out easier because it's been washed and dried so many times. It starts to lose its full gusto and strength. But again, I think Anna probably wore these just a few times, and then for a variety of reasons she didn't like them anymore, so they went into my upcycle pile. Using this Tye seam remover also eliminates a lot of the mess associated with taking out stitching, because all of the top stitching is still attached or in here. I can pull it all apart like this, see? And it just makes much less mess. So see, I can pull out lots of it in fuller pieces. All right, let me just finish this up here. I'm going to stop talking and start working. There's a lot of real estate around this waist to take out. right, look, I literally just have this much to go. We're almost there. Double topped. It looks like they stitched back and forth here a few times, so I'm just gonna break that stitching with the seam ripper. I think that'll then make it easier for me to go in and, you know, loosen it up and get the rest off. Holy cow, is that nailed in there. All right, we're detached. So you can see we're relatively in good condition here. See? All right, so I'm gonna save this waistband for something else. I'm excited about that. I'm just gonna put that over there for now. And now let's look at the front fly itself. Now my goal is gonna be, what I'm going to end up doing here to make this a faux front fly is I'm just going to top stitch it together. So I want to get rid of all of this extra here. So again, I can probably get rid of the fly. I'm going to pick around in here. I'm going to get rid of this bar tack at the bottom. Now here I don't need to be careful because quite frankly, if I rip or tear this fabric, I don't care. So I'm literally just gonna get this apart as fast as possible here. So see, I did make a hole because again, I don't care. So my top stitching is over here. It's not on my zipper. That means I can take out the zipper and leave the left fly piece alone. So I bet I can use the Tye stitch remover for that pretty fast too. So watch this. I think this will work. If I just get in here. I'm going to take the zipper off of this side. So this is the left side, the side with the smaller fly piece that I'm just taking off like this. See? Okay. I want to leave the left fly piece attached. I don't want to take out the left fly piece because if I take off the left fly piece, I'm also taking out the top stitching for the fly detail, and I don't want to do that. So let's look at what I did here. You can see I've completely taken out the left side of the zipper. Oops. Oh. Okay, so the left side of the zipper is out. Just cut this. So now on the right side, I'm going to take off the whole right fly piece. I don't need that. So again, start at the bottom here, and I'm going to pick at this to get it started. And then I'm going to use the Tye stitch remover to remove the left fly. And I think I've got some pretty hard top stitching here, like a bar tack at the base of the fly from the right side. So I'm just going to carefully pick that out. So I can see it's right here. So I'm just going to dig at that for a second. And again, I'm cutting into the fly. I don't care that I'm cutting this a little bit because again, I'm taking it off completely. So now that I'm past that bar tack, I can use the Tye remover to make quick work of removing the rest of the left fly piece. Okay. All right, it's just on by the very top here. All right. And now I have my zipper and my right fly piece are now off of the jeans. All right, let's take a look at this now. You can see that I took apart this whole thing, and it really didn't take that long, much less time than it would take if I had used just a traditional seam ripper here. But notice now, all I have is the left fly and what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap this, and I'm just going to top stitch it in place, and I'm just going to pin it so you can see how I'm going to sew this. Let me turn it upside down like this to make it easier. So from the bottom, I want to make sure that I line everything up exactly the way it will be nice and smooth here. And then I'm just going to stick some pins into the overlap. So I am not going to sew this like a traditional seam. I'm just going to top stitch it shut like this. Like this. And this would be easy to match because this is black top stitching thread, so I can just use black. If you're having trouble matching your top stitching thread, you can use 2 spools of a good all-purpose thread like Gutermann Mara 100. That will look exactly like top stitching thread if you just thread your the top of your machine through the same path and then put both strands through the needle. It will look just like top stitching thread if you want to make it match perfectly. But you can see here, let me just show you. All right, so what I have here is I have the fly will be sewn shut right along this edge, and then it will be just like a pull-on pair. And if I look at the inside, let's just look inside here. Okay, you can see that it's just going to be, you know, it'll just look, oops. Oh, actually, hold on. All right, so the first thing all right, before I pin it, actually, what I should have done is press the seam allowance flat, because the seam allowance will give us some more overlap like this. So it'll just look like this on the inside. So actually, I think what I'll do is let me just pin it from here like this. And then I can switch the pins to the front. Yeah, that'll give me a lot more overlap. So see what I'm doing is I'm just pressing this way, right? So if you have jeans in your closet that fit great, but they're just snug around the waistband and you can pull them up, you can take out your waistband and do this. Okay, so let's look at it from, there's your inside. And then here's your outside. And again, all you're going to do is stitch straight up like that. All right, so I'm not going to finish this pair because I'm not working with this, but that's how you take out a front fly to create a faux front fly. Okay, so that was step 1. So now let's look at my mom's jeans. These jeans are from LL Bean. They're just really easy fit, you know, loose fitting, chambray denim, lightweight denim jeans. And I really don't need to take in the whole thing. I just need to make the waist smaller. So I'm not going to fuss with taking off this skinny waistband. because I can sacrifice another 1/2 inch here, and or even like 3/8, and I'll be fine. So to do these, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to carefully, I'm going to cut it so I have a start point like this. And I'm literally just going to stretch it flat like this. And then I'm going to use my rotary cutter, and I'm just going to cut off or cut right below this waistband. Now, if you're going over a heavy seam and you're using a rotary cutter, I would switch to scissors there, because if you're trying to cut with a rotary cutter over something thick, it might all of a sudden cut and then keep going uncontrollably, like into your finger. So don't cut over heavy seam allowances like that with the rotary cutter, because it's hard to control. And actually, I think it's going to be easier just to do with scissors. I'm just going to use my scissors. I'm so used to using a rotary cutter for everything. Sometimes the rotary cutter is not the easy tool. So I can see here the scissors are working much better. So you can see this pair already has a faux front fly. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But again, we're just cutting this little bit off. Now, if you need this length, you can take apart the casing as well. So that's why I wanted to show it both ways. All right, so let's just finish taking this off. All right, so this is going to go in the garbage. And of course, I am really enjoying my trash bin. I'm using it a lot. All right, so now let's look at the front of this. All right, so you can see we have a faux fly here. So it's got the fly. It has cargo pockets, which are right in style. And you can see if I use a little bit more of this, it's going to be fine. I'm just going to use 3/8 of an inch of the top of this waistline to add my yoga pants band kind of a waistband. And here's another tip. If you're sewing for somebody on the regular, and let's say you're taking in their pants or you're, fixing things, I've made a length of elastic that I know works for my mom. So this is where my mom is right now. This stretched out fits my mom. I think I'm going to take it in a little bit to get rid of a little bit of this extra. Now, if I take it in on the sides, I'm going to lose the pocket. The back and the front are the exact same width. And in the back, I know I can get rid of some of the ease by creating 2 darts here. So I'm going to find the center of this pocket. Let's say that's from the in to the inside of the top stitching is 5 inches. So I'm just going to mark 2.5 inches right here. And then I'm going to get rid of, let's get rid of 1.5 inches here. So I can get rid of 3 inches in the back by creating a dart like this. And then I'll make a dart on the other side too. So if you've got a really wide waist that you have to take in a bunch and you don't want to take in the side seams, I'm just going to add front and back darts. So and of course, make sure if you do this, you can still get in and out of it. You have to be able to pull this over your hip. So you don't want to make the waistline too small. All right, so here's my 2.5 here. And then 3/4. I'm just going to fold it. I'm not even going to draw a line here. I'm just going to make myself, these darts don't need to be exact, because again, my mother never tucks her shirts in, and As long as I go into the base or into the patch pocket, you won't see the tip of it. So I'm just going to make some nice easy darts here. I'll make a line to sew on the side. All right, so I've got 2 darts pinned in the back. And then you can see, once I sew them, they're just going to disappear right into the pocket, see? After they're sewn. And then in the front, I think in the front, I'm going to do little darts right here too. Just little ones. So here I'm just going to fold it in half from the center front to the side seam like this. And I'm literally just going to make little darts in the front. Just, these are little. These are going to be inch darts. So I'm getting rid of some of this extra ease along the waist. Okay. And then I'm going to just make a short little like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, I'm just going to fold it in half so I match up this stitching in this, like this. And I'm just going to put another little dart here. And again, remember, my mom's never going to tuck these in, so no one's ever going to see these little darts. I just want to make it comfortable for her so it's not overwhelming, but she can get them on and off easy. I'm going to just sew these darts really quick and easy. I want to be careful not to catch my pocket though in the back, so I'm making sure I'm just sewing through the back leg, not the pocket. So just be careful about that. Again, remember, I don't care how these darts look at the tip because, see, they don't show. So see, there's one dart. See how nice that looks? Let's do another one over here. The sole purpose of these darts is just to get rid of a little bit of the width of the waistline, or to reduce the length of the waistline here. Again, make sure you're not catching the pocket. Okay, so see, look how nice that is. Now let's go in the front and just sew these little darts. That way I don't lose the side pockets. I don't know if my mom actually uses pockets anymore. I really don't think she does, but just to keep them there. In case anyone's following along with me and they're going to do this, I wanted to give an option that wouldn't kill your pocket. Now the front darts show, so I sewed off the edge. And then I'm going to just go back in and just catch the tail in the dart intake instead of back tacking. So that makes a nice little thing there. And because I want them to match and I didn't check, I'm going to measure this dart. So this dart measures 4 inches. So I'm going to make sure that this other front dart also is 4 inches long. All right, you can see here we have a nice clean finish, I think. I measured the width of the waistline now that I did those darts, and it's still 42 inches, which is plenty to get over my mom's hips. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just give this a nice press. Probably I should press, hold on, let me lay it like this so I can press these darts to the sides just to make them neat and tidy. And then I'm just going to press this waistline edge. I know from being with my mom that this is plenty big still. All right, so let's just look at this one more time. You can see these darts are very subtle in the front, here and here. But again, no one's ever going to see them because my mom wears long shirts over, over her waistband. And then in the back, you can see we have these darts. They're hiding underneath the pockets. So that's going to work out just fine. So now the waistline is all ready for the Yoga Pants Style Waistband. And I'm going to be using some dark blue Ponte Knit to create the waistband itself. And I've already cut out a strip that's going in the direction of the stretch. You can see this is going to stretch really nicely. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold it so it's closer to the size I need, like this. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the waistband itself just a little bit smaller than the edge of the waistline. And then when I put this even smaller elastic in, it's going to take it all up and make a nice fitted waistline. I was using the elastic I already cut out to size just to get an idea of how much it would need to stretch for its widest, to be able to get over her hips. And I think I've taken it in enough now that I got rid of probably 4 inches, 3 or 4 inches of the measurement. And you can see this elastic easily stretches, the full width of the waistline. So I don't want to make the waistband itself that small though. We want the elastic to stretch inside the casing. I'm going to make my waistband approximately, let's say approximately 2 inches shorter than the waistline itself. All right, so I've got this lined up right under my waistline. Let's cut it off right here. So it's approximately 2 inches shorter. Okay, and before I switch from my sewing machine to my serger, I'm going to sew this closed. Now, I made it 4 inches wide because my elastic is 1.5 inches wide. So when it's folded in half and sewn down, the casing will be very close to the width of the elastic. That's how I decided how wide to make my Yoga Pants waistband. I want to leave a hole so I can just slide it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark with one pin the center, like this. And then I'm going to mark the seam allowance on one side here. And then I'm just going to leave a space open on this end so I can snake the elastic in, and then I'll sew it shut. This will be the outside of the waistband. This will be the inside of the waistband once I fold it. All right, so I'm just going to sew about 1/2 inch or so from the edge, and I'm going to stitch there. Let's go all the way. Now when I get over this pin, which is the middle, I'm going to stitch just past it, and I'm going to make a back tack there. Then I'm going to start right before the seam allowance at the bottom. Okay. All right, so you can see I left a hole here, and if I open it up, you can see I'm just gonna stick my finger through it so you can see that. And just to make it really easy to work with on the next step, I'm gonna press these seam allowances open like this. Okay, so now I can fold it in half this way. And just to keep everything neat and tidy, I think I'm also gonna press the top of my waistband to give it a crease there. If you're working with performance sports knit or something that has a lot of lycra in it, you want to be careful that you don't put your iron on top of that kind of knit, because it may create a shine, like it may melt. This Ponte Knit doesn't have that issue, so I'm just going to give it a nice crease just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay. All right, now I think you know the drill for the next part here. I'm going to use my Wonder Clips to mark my quarters. So this is going to be the center back where the hole is. So if I fold it in half with the center back on one fold, and then here's the other half, I'm going to put a clip there. So that's going to be my center front right here. Then I'm going to put the clip together with the seam like this. So the seam is right here, like this. So then I can mark my quarters. So I'm going to have 1/4 right here. Okay, so from here to here. And then here's my other quarter. Here to here. Okay, so you can see now I've got, and I'm going to put a clip on the center back as well, just so I have it there. All right, so you can see I've marked my quarters. Okay, then I'm going to mark the quarters on the actual waistline here. And I'm going to use, for the fly, I'm going to use this outside edge of the fly as my center front. And then the center back already has a seam there. So then if I fold it in half, you can see my side seam is pretty much in a line with the halfway. So I'm just going to use the side seam as my guide for the quarters at the side. So now I'm going to take this waistband and I'm going to put it right sides together at center back, the seam with the seam in the jeans, and I'm going to pin it. And then I'm going to pin it at the side seam as well. And then I'm going to go to the center front, which is right here. Now I can get rid of one of the clips. I'm going to pin that. And then finally, I'm going to put this last pin here. All right, so now here's the cool thing. I'm going to get my serger, and literally to finish this waistband technique, all we're going to do is serge around. And you can see, because I made the waistband only 2 inches shorter than the waistline, there's not a lot to ease in here. So I can even stretch this to match like this. Pick this up so the edges are all matching. And I can add a couple more clips just to make it really easy. Okay. Let me check the front. I'm just double checking to make sure I have a good amount of ease between all the pins. every now and then something funny could happen, so I just want to make sure it's all going to ease in really nice and easy. Let's put one more over here. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to set up my serger and I'll be right back. I did a test to make sure that my stitch was good before I, when I was setting up my serger. And you can see I've got a nice serge stitch here. I have gray in the needles and black in my loopers. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to serge this waistband on, and I'm going to start somewhere in the back. It really doesn't matter. We're going to stretch the waistband to fit the waistline. I'm just going to work my way around. I want this seam allowance to stay to the back, so I'm just making sure that stays put. If you have a lot to ease in, you can put your waistline against the feed dogs. That will help feed it in. But I really don't have much to ease in here, so that's why my jeans are actually face up. I think it's easier to see on the lighter color for the video. You can see this goes on really nice and fast. All right, we're almost done. All right, so stopping and starting in the round, I just cut off my tail. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my knife down and I'm going to overlap my start point by about, quarter inch or so, half inch. Once I'm overlapped, I'm going to lift up my needles, lift up my presser foot, push everything back, put my needles down and chain off. And then I'm going to put my knife back up. But see what a nice start-stop that makes? You can barely see that I stopped and started there. All right, let's take a look at what our waistband looks like. I'm going to put my serger away because I'm going to need my sewing machine one more time. All right, so you can see, I think this waistband looks really cool. It's just slightly smaller than the waistline. There's the front, and there's the back. All right, so I'm going to take my wooden bodkin and I'm going to put my pre-cut piece of elastic in here. You know, if you're making this for yourself and you want to pre-measure your elastic, you can do that. You can also measure it once it's in. You can put a safety pin, pin it together, and just double check and make sure it's firm enough. Whatever works for you. But basically, I'm going to stick this in here. Okay, so as you're inserting the elastic, keep it as smooth as you can until the tail that's going into the hole is really close. So see, this is going to encourage it not to twist. So see how I'm sort of stretching the elastic out into the casing as I go. So I'm putting it in, but I'm also feeding it in there as I go. And now I'm getting really close to the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pin it to itself right here. So right before the hole, I'm just going to pin it there so I don't lose my tail. So see, I pinned it right there so it can't escape. And then I'm going to continue feeding this through. And by stretching it in as you go, that helps encourage it not to twist in the casing. All right, so now I'm back to the other side. You know, if I had fed it in all the way, all bunched up, then it's harder to tell if it's twisted or not. So stretching it out as you go is your friend to get it to lay flat. So now that I'm out this end, I'm going to pin the two ends together and see if it's twisted. So I'm just going to pin them together and we'll see if I need to fix anything. And because I'm not using a safety pin, I'm going to pin twice. 2 pins to hold it like that. And then let's straighten this out all the way and see if we're twisted. All right, so let's lay this like this. I think at the very end here it is twisted, but I'm working it flat, see, all the way up to here, and then I can see if it's twisted. I can feel it is twisted, so I'm gonna unpin it, and see, I need the bottom edge to be on the top. So basically what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull this out a little bit, take out these pins, and I'm going to feel for, without losing my tail, how to untwist that. Okay, so I don't want to lose my tail, but basically I want it to be untwisted. So if I put it like this is not twisted now. So now I can pin it back up to double check one more time. I really want to stretch it out to make sure it's not twisted. All right, so now I'm just going to tuck this into the hole so I can really stretch it out. And I want to really evenly distribute the ease or the gathers on this waistband all the way around. So I'm going to work it a little bit and then see how nice that is once it gets evenly distributed, right? And here's the back, and you can see nothing is twisted, and it's not terribly gathered. There's not an uncomfortable amount of gathers here. I think that's going to work out really nice for my mom. So let me just show you the last steps to finish this up. All right, I'm just going to make a quick presto changeo to black because I don't want my light blue and gray thread to show. I'm just going to pop out my elastic. I'm going to pull it back out a little bit here. just so I have enough wiggle room to get it under the presser foot. Oops. And I'm going to take out the first pin here first, and I'm literally just going to use the triple zigzag to stitch over the raw edge here. So see how that keeps that from fraying, and also that's not going to go anywhere now. And then I'm going to do it over this opposite end too. So I'm just going to stitch it again. Okay, so you can see that elastic is going to go nowhere. Now I'm going to tuck it into the waistband. And I'm going to start at the bottom of the hole. My hole spread to the front because I was really working it to get it in there with that big wooden bodkin. So I'm going to start at the base of the center back seam. I'm going to push the two folded edges of the waistband open, and I'm just going to zigzag through all the layers. Okay, and you can see that that's going to stay put. It did come apart a little bit over the fold, but I am not going to worry about that. I might take a few hand stitches and just stitch that together, but overall, you can see that's going nowhere. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little bit more workout like this, and to keep the elastic from, you know, bunching up and twisting, I'm just going to come over here to where the side seam is, and I'm going to go back to my straight stitch, and I'm just going to stitch it down here. So I just ran one straight stitch there, and I'm going to do the other straight stitch on the other side seam to keep it from flipping around. All right, so let's take a look at this. So here we have a very nice yoga pants waistband for my mom's jeans. And if you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you. I'm sorry I couldn't be here live today on Friday for Fab Fit Friday, but this is sort of like a bonus video tutorial for you. If you have any questions about taking out the zipper or, you know, anything else, post those below and I will help you. If you're enjoying my content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me grow. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week live during Fab Fit Friday.